comes Peter Cottontail. Good morning, Peter. How are you today? I know it's Palm Sunday, the beginning of Holy Week. What? You aren't sure what Holy Week is all about? Well, I do know that Jesus starts out the week riding in a parade. Then I think some really sad things happen. But I do believe that on Easter Sunday, we get the best present ever. Oh, you have some special eggs in your basket that might help explain it? Well, let's have our friends here each take an egg and they can explain to us what they find inside that might tell us more about this special week.
A donkey? In Jesus' days, most people walked everywhere. Sometimes kings rode on donkeys or horses when they entered a city. The people would stop what they were doing and watch as the king rode by. On the day of Jesus rode into their city, the people were thrilled to see him. They believed that he was their new king who had come to save them and to fill their lives with joy.
I got 3 quarters. Not everyone was happy to have Jesus as their king. Some people only pretended to have happy, but on the inside they really didn't want anything to do with him. One of those pretenders was a man named Judas. That's good. Some other men hated Jesus so much that they wanted to kill him, but they needed the help of someone who could get them close to Jesus. Because Judas Iscariot was a pretender that because he was greedy for money, he told these men that he would help them capture Jesus if they would pay him 30 silver coins.
I got a little cup. Jesus had a special dinner with his disciples, 12 of his closest friends who traveled with him and learned from him. During the meal, Jesus stood up and held out a cup and gave everyone a drink. Then he said something that was hard for them to understand. He said that the wine in the cup was his blood. He didn't mean that they would actually be drinking blood, but wine was a symbol of his blood. He wanted them to remember this special night and the promise he was making to them and to all people. Do you know what a promise is?
Right hands. After the dinner with his disciples, Jesus took them to a garden. He asked them to pray while he went to another place in the garden to talk to God. He began to be sad and dread what he knew was going to happen. He was going to die. Do you ever get sad about things in your life? You can always do what Jesus said. You can pray and tell God exactly how you feel. He always listens.
I got a whip. When Jesus finished praying in the garden, the men who wanted to kill him took him as their prisoner. Then they brought him to Pilate, their ruler, and he had Jesus whipped. The whip was long, hard, and it hurt Jesus so much that he bled. Jesus hadn't done anything wrong, but the men who wanted to kill him were afraid of losing power. So they wanted Jesus out of their way. Then they knew that if people really believed that Jesus was Son of God, which he was, they would follow him.
After Jesus had been whipped, the soldiers took branches with thorns, twisted them into the shape of a crown, and shoved it down on Jesus' head. Again, Jesus bled. We know that because Jesus is the Son of God, he could have stopped the men from hurting him. But he let them continue. Do you know why? Because even though he hadn't done anything wrong, he had not sinned, Jesus was taking the punishment for all of the wrong things that any person had ever done or ever will do. This includes you and me.
A nail. The soldier made Jesus carry the heavy wooden cross to the top of a hill. Using nails much larger than these, they nailed him to the cross, which caused much pain. He died a few hours later. A die. Have you ever played a game using dice? Games are supposed to be fun, but what the soldiers did was neat and cool. While Jesus was dying on the cross, they played a game to decide who to take his clothes. Jesus knew what the soldiers were doing, but he did not show anger. He chose to die for their sins too. That was why he prayed for them, even while they were playing their mean game. He prayed, "Father, forgive them. They do not know what they are doing." A spear. 2 robbers were crucified with Jesus, one on each side of him. When the soldiers came to check on the 3 men on the crosses, Jesus had already died. Just to make sure, though, one of the soldiers stabbed Jesus in the side with a spear. This is a sad story, but a true one. It is sad to think that Jesus died and that he died in such a cruel way. But remember that Jesus gave up his life because of his love for sinners, all sinners. This includes you and me, and all who tell lies, steal from others, disobey God, or even people like the soldier who stabbed him.
It's a piece of cloth. After Jesus died, a man named Joseph asked if he could bury him. This was a brave and loving thing for Joseph to do. Remember, the men who killed Jesus did not believe he was the Son of God. But Joseph did believe. And he wanted Jesus to have a proper burial. Joseph knew that this might get him in trouble with the soldiers, but he was brave and asked for permission anyway. Joseph wrapped the body of Jesus in cloth and buried him in a tomb cut out of rock, like a shallow cave. Joseph then went away sad because Jesus was dead and wondering what would happen next.
A stone? The stone was rolled in front of Jesus' tomb was much bigger than the stone in the egg. It was as big as a door and probably weighed more than a car. After Jesus was buried, special soldiers were assigned to stand guard at the tomb, but these men were no match for God's angel. It took just one angel to roll the stone away. The guards were so afraid that they fainted. Where did the angel get his strength? From God.
It's empty. When the 2 women came to the tomb of Jesus, they were surprised too. The heavy stone was rolled aside and the tomb was empty. Jesus' body was not there. The angel told him, "He has risen." Jesus had come back to life. This was the promise that Jesus had made to his disciples at the special dinner just a few days before, that he would die but come back to life to show those who believed in him that they would live forever too. Someday, because he died for us, we can meet him and thank him in heaven. That's the story of Easter, and it's true.
Happy Easter from the people of St. Jacob.